guys, we are back in back in JavaScript doing object-oriented program, objects ones. You can see that I already started it. We're going to start from the beginning because the video quality was bad. But let's go ahead and get started here. So let's go to, and I'll reset as we go along here. So this first one, we have this big line of complicated OR statements. And we basically just want to set a variable called answer equal to true. Pretty straightforward. Up next, it is asking us, let's go ahead and reset this code, to say which one of these is not modulo by 8. So if you look at the last one, 58 isn't, so that would be the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th index. And we're going to set that to true by saying that the 5th index is not and with a even division. So let's go ahead and reset this code here. So it says print out the numbers 1 to 20 using if and else if statements. Here, let me copy this in case I mess up. But let's see here. Alright, so we need a for loop. So we're going to say for var I equal to 1 because we want to start at 1. We'll say while I is less than 21. I plus plus, so increase it by 1. And we're going to say it needs to be 1 if it's modulo by 3, print out fizz. The second if else is going to be divisible by 5. And the third is divisible by 3 and 5, print out fizzbuzz. Otherwise, just print out the number. So the best way to do this, in my opinion, because we don't want repeat values, it's to start with the 3 and 5. It's the most complicated if statement. So we'll say if I modulo 3 is equal to 0, and I modulo 5 equal to 0, we want it to print out console.log. We want it to print out fizzbuzz with a capital B. Else if, and you could do this in any order. Let's just go ahead and type this out. We're gonna have 2 else ifs, and then else console.log. So let's start the last statement is we want to print out the number if it doesn't meet any of our if requirements. So we'll say this is, we're going to break up that first if statement. If it's not met, so we'll do 5 is equal to 0. We want it to console.log out I, and then the mod 3, so I mod 3 is equal to 0, and we want it to console.log out fizz. And let me fix this one. This one's supposed to be buzz. So let's go ahead and save and submit. And bam, there we go. 1, 2, fizz, 4, buzz, fizz buzz for 15. Cool. So, Control X that out of there. So Toy Story 2, Great Story, Mean Prospector. Here are your movies and reviews. Write a function called getReview. So you can see right here, if you need to look at this real quick, I'll put it up for you. But we're going to do it right now. So remember var function, get review. Get review equals new function. And in here, is function capitalized? Yeah, we need a parameter. So, write a function named getReview that takes in a movie name. Alright, so that's our parameter. We'll just call it movie. And returns it review based on, so at the end we're going to return the movie. Alright, so let's look. Alright, so that wants us to use switch statements. Okay, so switch movie. So we're going to take in our movie, and we're going to say, we're going to get our case. Let's take out this return movie, because we're going to be doing it again and again, basically. So in here, we're going to have 3 cases. So case, Toy Story 2. And if it's that one, we want to console.log out great story, period, mean prospector. If it's the next case, so case 2 is Finding Nemo. And in this case, we want to console.log cool animation, comma, and funny turtles. And in our third case, we want to find, that is the Lion King. And we want to console.log out great songs. And because we're using a switch statement, we need a default. And we'll just console.log can't find that movie. And it's usually you want to put a break statement in here for each one of these so it doesn't hit more than one. We know it probably shouldn't, but just for standard convention, we're going to put that in there. And so let's call get review. And in it, we want to put in, we'll do Toy Story 2. Can't find that movie. Toy Story 2. Get review is not a function. Did I declare my function wrong? So var get review. Oh, I put new function. Whoops. There we go. Make sure your syntax is correct. So great story mean prospector. There you go. I'm not sure why it prints it twice. Let's try something else. Let's just put 000 and see what happens. Can't find the movie. Great story mean prospector. I think this wants us to use return. And then we'll call it I'll just put some empty space in here. Check the review of Toy Story 2. Okay, so let's go ahead with Toy Story 2. So we're getting some sort of error here. Luckily we have our previous code and we can see what we may have did differently here. It's probably a syntax thing. I don't believe the single quotes should matter, but let's go ahead and just change that real quick. We return the same thing. Great story, mean prospect. Oh my god. Alright, so it's probably that right there. So let's go ahead and cut this out. And now if you see right now, it should work. Check the review on Finding Nemo. Alright, so let's get review. And we'll put Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo. And make sure everything is in the correct case. Cool animation. See, it's working. It looks like it's more of a syntax thing. So let's compare our previous one. So we have cool animation, comma, and funny turtles, period. Alright, so now we're probably good there. Cool. Just a little bit of a syntax there. I'll be probably referring back a little bit to my previous code here, since I've been working mainly with HTML and CSS lately. I haven't had a chance to work with JavaScript too much, but we'll get back into it. So alright, so this is just asking us to print out I'm ready for objects. Bam, there we go. So in this case, create an object called Bob that has no informations inside the bracket. So we have var Bob. It'll probably give us a hint here. Alright, so we need a equals, var Bob equals, and semicolon. Bam, good to go. So, see the console object that I've created about myself, so that's probably Spencer. Alright, can you create an object called me? So var me describes your age and which country you live in. Okay, so var me equals, and now we're going to set some object parameters here. So we're going to set age to 27, put a comma, because we're adding another one, and country, and we'll put USA. Don't forget the quotes, so we'll take it as a string. And the semicolon at the end. Good to go. So, oops. So finish this code by filling in the code in lines 13 and 14 to access name and age for Susan and give those to the global values. So we want to say this is equal to Susan.name and Susan.age. So you call the object and then you call the parameter it follows with. So we're going to do the same thing for the dog's weight. So we're going to say dog dot, oh, bracket notation. Okay. So var species equals dog. Let's see. Let's check up. So let's reset our code real quick. Oh, we can't do it. All right. So bracket notation. So we need object name and property name. So in this case, we want to the dog's weight. So we want to say dog, and then we want to say weight, I believe. Let's see if this works properly. And then we want to say dog age. Let's see if this works. So weight is equal to dog weight. I think we might need to do it like this with brackets, and then age, because we're looking for the key. So this is like the key. No, this is like the door, and this is the key. I don't know. You'll figure out your own way to remember it. All right. So make a Susan2 object using a constructor instead. So let's see, var. Alright, so var Susan2 equals new object, and then we'll say Susan2. Alright, it wants the same property. Dot name equals Susan Jordan. This is more how I'm familiar with creating objects, just because it's more standard Java convention. Let's see here, Susan2. Oh, there we go. Cool. So we have the correct name and age, and we're using a constructor. So in this case, we're going to use two different notations. We're going to use constructor and then literal. So in this first one, we're going to have our brackets and then a semicolon after. And in here, we need to set Snoopy should have two properties, species, and we're going to set that equal to Beagle. And then don't forget the comma, and then an age, and we're going to set that equal to 10. No comma because it's our last parameter. And here we're saying var buddy equals new object. And then we're going to say buddy dot species equals then make a buddy a 5-year-old golden retriever. Alright, so golden retriever, and then buddy dot age equals 5. And that should be good. Cool. So a little bit of literal notation, this first one, and then object notation. So create a object named bicycle has 3 properties. So var bicycle equals new object, and it doesn't say how to do it, so do this however you feel most is comfortable. And then we'll just say bicycle dot speed equals 0, bicycle dot gear equals 1, bicycle dot frame underscore material equals carbon fiber. Bam. Alright, so you could have done it the other way as well in literal notation, and it should have worked the same. So, define the function multiply. Here, I'll leave this up in case we need to refer back to it. So, var multiply equals function. And multiply is going to take in 2 parameters, they say, x and y. Sorry about the break there. The girlfriend got home, had to tell her I love her, all that good shit. Alright, so in this function, we're passing 2 arguments and we want it to do something. We want it to return x times y. Then we want to call multiply, and in this case we'll put 2, 3. And I believe that should work and return 6. So there's our 6. Cool. Alright, so Bob's feeling old, so let's use our method to set Bob's age. So if you've used getters and setters before, this is probably simple. You just call the setAge function or method on the object, and we're going to reset it to 20, and there we go. Alright, this is just asking us to see what the give birth year of Bob's age is. So, bam, he was born in 1997. You can see right here, this was written in 2014 by the looks of it, and it's just whatever Bob's age is minus from the current year. And there's probably even a JavaScript function built in that has the current year that they could call so that they don't have to go back and change it. So in this one, we want to use the setAge function to change his age to. Alright, so we want to change his age to show this way of making setAge works. Just like I said, use Bob's setAge method to change his age to 50. So let's do Bob dot setAge. And we're going to set it to 50. And when he's 50, that'd mean he's born in 1964. All right. So make Susan on lines 11 to 13. So we're going to say var Susan equals new object. And then we are going to say Susan.age is equal to 25. Susan have an age of 25. And a Susan.setAge method also equal to setAge. Okay, so Susan.age here, update Susan.age, so Susan.setAge is equal to 35. I believe that's what they're asking. Susan.setAge is not a function. Alright, Susan.setAge equals setAge. Is that what they're asking? Cool. Apparently we need to set this, and let's make sure everything's working properly. But apparently we need to set the function in our when we declare our setAge. So let's call Susan.age here and see what's going on here. Oops. Let's go back because this is important. Console.log Susan.age. And see, now it goes out 35, so we know everything's working properly. So, finish the method setWidth. It should take a parameter newWidth. Alright, so set rectangle.setWidth equals, and let's go ahead and, oops. Should take parameter, new parameter newWidth. Alright, so that's what was throwing me off. So let's go ahead and copy this in case we need to look back at what we actually did. So we actually need to create a function, or the method. So it tells us right here, rectangle.setWidth. This is going to be a function that takes in a single parameter called newWidth. It's going to look similar to setHeight above. So in here we're going to say this dot width is equal to new width. This is basically just saying that when we call new width, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be equal to whatever we pass into set width. That's why it's called setter. Set this to this. Then use two commands, set height and set width to change the rectangle's height. Alright, so set height. So we're going to say rectangle dot set height, and we're going to set that to 6, and then we're going to say rectangle dot set width, and we're going to set that to 8. Save and submit. Everything should work smoothly. Alright, so help us define an area method here. So, if you remember how to get the area of a square or a rectangle, it's just length times width. So that's basically what we need to write. So we want to add another method, so var calc area, and calc area is going to be equal to a function, and we want it to, which returns the area of a square in terms of side length. So in the case of a square, we only need one parameter because all sides are equal. So we're going to have something called side length, and in here we're going to use calc parameter as a guide. So they, return this dot side length, and area is equal to times this dot side length. So we just need to multiply it by itself, and everything should go well. Square. Because this is class specific or object specific, we need to call square on it. Alright, so we have some sort of function error. So this dot side length, so we take in side length, use calc area. Unexpected token, not very helpful, but we did save our code from a second ago, so let's go ahead and see what's going on here. Maybe they don't want us to have any gaps. Oh, I took in a parameter. Oh, in this case, the side length is, if you see up here, this is where I messed up. So in this case, you can see right here, we actually give it a side length. So we're not taking anything in. And we don't need this. Okay, so because it created this and it's class specific, I was trying to create a function from that wasn't class specific, it looked like. Alright, so add Bob's age here and set it equal to. Alright, so this is going to be pretty simple. So we'll set Bob's age, bob.age equals 20. Cool. Alright, so we're going to create a new person called George. So var George equals a new person. And we're going to name him George Washington. And we're going to set his age to 275. Alright, so we're going to make a dog constructor here. So in our dog constructor, we want to give it properties like age and name. And then we want to say this dot age equals age, basically saying when you create this, age is equal to age. And then we want to say this dot name equals name. Cool. So create a new object called Sally using the person constructor. So var Sally equals new person. Her name is Sally. Alright, so insert the necessary information. So necessary parameters, Sally Bolus. Her age is 39. And then we're going to create another object called Holden. And this is a new person. His name is Holden Caulfield. And he is 16. Unexpected token. So let's look at our code real quick. I don't think I saved this one either. Reference back. New person. This is from the previous example, but it should all work all the same. So var Bob vol silent equals new person Bob. Okay. Edit the sentence printed out such that it includes the age of Sally and Holden respectively. So Sally.name plus Sally.age, and then we're going to do the same thing for Holden.name and Holden.age. Bam! There we go. So you can see up here, well, you could probably change this so this is a little less awkward, but it gets the two parameters and puts it in a print statement. Just going to copy this in case we need to reference back to it. So define a new method on line 8 called calc parameter. So we're going to define the function calc. Oops. Actually, we're not doing var anymore. Use calc area. Define a method which calculates returns the parameter. Okay, so we need to actually do it inside here because it's class specific. So this dot calc, perimeter equals a function. And in here, we want it to return. So it already has the parameters height and width. So return. So we need height. Actually, we don't need to put it in here because it already has it. So return this dot height. Oh, returns the perimeter. So return this dot height plus this, because it's only using this dot width and this height. We can just do this dot height times 2 plus this dot width times 2, because the sides should be the same, 7 and 3. There you go. Alright, now we can easily make all of our rabbits. So we want to create a new rabbit called var rabbit 1 equals new rabbit with the adjective fluffy. So rabbit 1 is fluffy. And then we want to do the same thing here. Var rabbit 2 equals new rabbit. And this one is happy. Cool. Var rabbit 3. This is equal new rabbit. And this one is sleepy. And then use the method describe myself to print out in the console. So use. Alright, and to print out the console sentence. Alright, so we are going to say describe. Alright, we're going to say rabbit 1 dot describe myself. I don't think we need that. Rabbit 2 dot describe myself. Rabbit 3 dot describe myself. Let's see. Cool. It didn't actually print anything out. That's a little weird. Alright, yeah, so you definitely need this on the end, or else it's not going to work. I don't know what I was thinking. This isn't a parameter, this is a function, and even if it has no parameters, you should include it. So yeah. Let's reset code. Add the last family member, Timmy, who is 6 years old. So, if you look correctly here, we actually have a family we have an array that holds new people, I guess, new persons. So, in this case, the family, we're adding a new member called Timmy, and he's going to be 6 years old, and we're just going to add it to the array. So we're not doing anything with it, we just added it. Alright, and now we're caught up to where I was when I stopped last. So, write a person constructor called person. So, let's look at the hints here. I always forget how to do all this stuff. Alright, so, for me, I'm going to look back real quick. So function person, okay. So, function person takes two properties, name and age. We're going to say this dot name equals name. This dot age equals age. We're just setting things here. Then we create a var fam. Oop. Now we want to create an empty array. So we're going to say var family equals, and I could get the this incorrect here, but we'll see. So there's our array. There will be 4 objects in the array using your person constructor. So we'll say family. We'll start at our first index, so family 0 equals new person. And they are going to have the parameter Alice, who is 40. Then we're going to have family member index 1 equals new person. And that's B-O-B, Bacab, little Cat Williams show. But no, Bob, with that silent K. Alright, then we have a family member index value number 2, new person. And they are going to be named Michelle. And then Timmy after that. Oh, double L in Michelle, so we don't get an error. Michelle is 8. And to go on from there, we will have Timmy. And it'll be index value 3. And then we are going to say new person. And we're going to set that with his name and age. Timmy is his name, and his age is 6. So now we want to loop through the family array. Okay, a couple ways we can do this. The better way is to use .size, and it should work just fine. So we're going to create a for loop. We're going to say for var I is equal to 0, and while I is less than family.size. And my syntax may be a little wrong here. We'll see in a second. I++. And then we want to print out console.log I.name. So let's go ahead and save and see what error, because we're family.size is not a function. Alright, just because I don't want to look up, there's definitely some array function that will tell us. Let's see if they say anything here. Also, oh, actually, was this right? Family.size, and I should have done this. So this needs to be family array value dot name. Family array value dot name. All right, and we'll just set this to 4 to make our lives a little bit easier. Bam, there we go. So we get Alice, Bob, Michelle, and Timmy. We could probably clean this up a little bit, but for the sake of this exercise, I think we're okay here. So we've created a two example people, Alice and Billy. Complete line 17 by calling age difference and saving a result in a global diff variable. So create the difference in age between Alice and Billy. So we're going to say var age difference equals excuse me, the age difference is a function, so we're going to call age difference, and we're setting it equal to Alice, comma, Billy. And I believe this should work because it's going to take the parameters from each one of these. Cool. And just to make sure it works, let's console.log out diff. And it should be 5. And there it is. Alright, so we want to define a function called older age. We want the function to return the age of the person who is older. So up here, we are going to create a function var older age, and we're going to set this equal to function, and we want to call person 1 comma person 2. Doesn't really matter what we name them as long as we use it. And we're going to create an if state. We're going to create another var. Var. How do we want to do this? Actually, we don't need to do this. We'll do an if statement. So we'll say if person1.age is greater than person2.age, return person1.age. Else return, we don't, else because there's, in this case there's only 2 options. and we've already compared 1, so person 2 by default is greater. We want to return person 2.age. Bam! So the older person is 30 in this case. Nice. So, make object Spencer 2, so var Spencer, just a little bit of review. So var Spencer 2, and we're going to set this equal to, oh, we're using constructor notation, so var Spencer 2 equals new object. And then we're going to say Spencer 2.age is equal to 22, and Spencer 2.country is equal to United States. Ooh, make sure you space properly. Bam, United States. Good to go. Set the global variable species to Snoopy's species and the variable age to Snoopy's age. Oh, using bracket notation. I believe it's like that, and then we just put in quotes, right? Yeah. Alright, so we call the object, and then we put in what parameter, which in this case is species, and then we do the same thing here. Alright, so when we use bracket, we'll do it there. So this one we're going to use dot, so we'll say Snoopy dot age, and everything should work. Cool. Notice that without the constructor, it takes us 3 lines of code to make Harry Potter an object that represents Harry Potter object 1. Then in line 7, we introduce a constructor where we pass in pages and author properties as parameters. Use this constructor to make The Hobbit a book with 320 pages by J.R. Tolkien. Alright, so we're going to say var the underscore Hobbit equals new book equals new object, no, equals new book rather, equals new book, and in here we're going to take in first is pages, so that's 320. Second is the author, which is j.r.r.Tolkien. And now we're going to set, actually, that's all I think we need to do. We did it in one line. So there we go. There's our pages and our author. We just basically created a new book class called The Hobbit. That's it. And our last, we are going to define a perimeter method. So in here, we are going to say that calculates the perimeter of a circle. So we're going to say this. Do they want us to do it as we did with area? So this dot perimeter equals a function. And in here, we need to return a value. So we're going to return, and how do you calculate the perimeter of a circle? Recall the formula of perimeter. See, I'm not the only one that fucking didn't remember this. So we're going to return 2 times math. We're borrowing, when we do this math.py, we're basically saying, call this pi method from the math library. So it's 2 times math.py times this dot radius. And that should work. Cool. So we just finished our introduction to objects 1 in JavaScript. Up next, it was a little bit of a long course, 33 sections, some harder than others. Up next, we're going to be building an address book, so maybe a little more quick and painless. That was one of the longer sections on the Codecademy site. But it's a lot of good stuff. Constructors, you can see how many different ways you can do a couple things, and you'll find which one you prefer. But as always, guys, like the video, share it, leave comments. Constructive criticism is always appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next video for building an address book.